Twilight pulled her head back, rubbing her forehead as she groaned. The spell was taxing, not to mention she had held it for minutes already. She shook her head before looking at her pink friend. Pinkie still had her eyes closed. "Pinkie, you alright?" Twilight asked, not sure if she had been released from the effects of the spell yet. It took a moment, but soon Pinkie's eyes slowly opened. "You okay? It wasn't too much, was it?" Twilight asked, a little worried about her friend. Pinkie simply blinked before smiling and lowering her head, closing her eyes. Twilight blinked a little, confused at this behavior. "Thank you, Twilight," were the first words to leave Pinkie's mouth. "Oh, did it work?" Twilight asked, softly smiling. "It did, and I thank you so much for helping me," Pinkie said, lifting her head, letting Twilight see the smile on her face. "If you hadn't helped me, who knows what would have happened? I mean, I probably would have been driven insane." She twirled her eyes in example, then chuckled at herself. "But I won't now, and it's all thanks to you." "Oh, well, you know, I was doing it to help a friend in need," Twilight said, smiling, accepting the compliments in her usual manner. "This has been a pretty crazy experience," Pinkie chuckled. "So, I hope I'm not prying, but do you know what was causing those nightmares now?" Twilight asked curiously. "I do," Pinkie said, but shifted her head a little. "But I'll tell you about it later, I promise. Right now..." She stood up. "I have a few things I need to take care of. I hope you don't mind." "Oh, but of course. I'm just happy I was able to help." Twilight smiled. Pinkie smiled back as she headed towards Twilight's door to help. A thought struck her, and she stopped. "Oh, hey, Twilight, before I go, I need 2 favors," Pinkie said happily. "Sure. What do you need?" Twilight asked curiously. "Well, first, I'll need you to cast the cloud walking spell for me. And second, do you have any red ribbon on you?" Pinkie asked curiously. Rainbow Dash was getting in a good afternoon nap in her home when she was awoken by several knocks on her door. "What?" she said as she stirred from her sleep. Her ears wiggled as she heard the door being knocked on. Yeah, hold your horseshoes, I'm coming," she yawned, stretching as she woke up. She walked over to the door, opening it up. Almost instantly, she was assaulted by a pink blur that proceeded to hug her, knocking her over onto her back. Yeah, what the? She said in surprise before realizing her assaulter was Pinkie Pie. "Oh, Pinkie Pie?" Rainbow said, sitting up slowly. "What's the idea? You know it's my nap time." Rainbow shook her head as Pinkie slowly let go. "I know, and I'm sorry for waking you." Pinkie smiled. "A lot's happened to me, and I really just had to see you." "Well, that's alright then. I certainly can't abandon a friend in need," Rainbow Dash said, brushing her hair with her hoof. "What's on your mind, Pinks?" "It's a really long story, Dash. A long and, well, a rather sad one." Pinkie said with a hint of melancholy in her voice. And I'm more than willing to tell you, but I hope you don't mind if I keep you waiting a little while to hear the story. Pinkie ran a hoof through her hair. I still have some things to deal with before I'm really ready to tell other ponies about it. A sad story? That's not like you, Pinkie Pie. You're always about being upbeat, fun, and having a good time. What could be so sad about something recently happening to you? Rainbow asked, with a little curiosity about her friend. Pinkie giggled a little, smiling at Dash. You'll know when you hear it. Just trust me for the moment. After all, I came here to hang with you for a little while, if you don't mind. Of course not. A visit from my gal pal is always welcome. Rainbow smiled as she flew over to another part of her house. Would you like a snack? I've got some fresh apples from Applejack. They're really good. That sounds delightful, Pinkie said, walking further into Rainbow's house. Rainbow returned with the apples, the two ponies sharing the snack together. They talked, they laughed, they reminisced about some of the adventures they'd been on since Twilight had arrived in town. Rainbow thought it a little weird that Pinkie was being so sentimental, but figured she must have a good reason. They spent a few good hours just hanging out in her home. So, Pinkie, Rainbow said after they had just finished a conversation about possible pranks they could pull in the future. What's with the red ribbon in your hair? Rainbow asked curiously. Pinkie turned her head to look at the red ribbon she had tied into a bow on her mane. She smiled softly before looking at Rainbow Dash. Well, let's just say it's helping me remember what dear friends I have. She chuckled. I didn't know you needed a ribbon for that. After all, we're all right here. Rainbow Dash smiled, putting a hoof to her chest. I know. Pinkie laughed. But I did need the reminder. She gently nuzzled her hair with the ribbon attached to it. She then smiled softly before looking up at Rainbow Dash. Dash, I'm going away for a while, Pinkie announced to her. Huh? Rainbow said, almost spitting out the apple juice she had been sipping on. Going away? But why? I've got something I need to take care of, Pinkie said, looking away from Rainbow Dash, though still smiling. I'm going out to see my sister, Octavia. Well, we could go with you, you know. You don't have to go alone, Rainbow explained. I know, but this is really something I have to do myself. She chuckled as she gently batted her straight hair with her hoof. Especially if I want this to be poofy again. So, you're sure this is what you need? Rainbow Dash asked once again. It is. Pinkie smiled, looking at Rainbow Dash. Dash looked conflicted. She certainly didn't want Pinkie to go away, but also had to support her friend. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Rainbow said, putting on a strong face and gently hitting Pinkie's shoulder. Besides, you'll be coming back, right? Oh, of course I will. I could never abandon you and the other girls here in Ponyville. You're my bestest friends ever. I can't think of what life would be like without you all, Pinkie explained happily. Then go ahead. We'll see you off, of course. Though things will be mighty quiet without you around, Rainbow said, smiling. I know. I bring so many smiles here, which is why I could never stay away for long. Pinkie chuckled again. Classical music filled the halls. The small group of ponies played on the stage to a large crowd. Their instruments were finely tuned. They never missed a beat or a chord as they all played in perfect harmony. The very soul of their music resonated through the hall and the hearts of all the ponies attending. The final chords were played, and the auditorium was filled with applause as they took their bows. The curtains came to a close on the stage as the band members began to pack up their instruments. "That was probably our best performance yet," Beauty Brass said as she put her sousaphone away in its case. "I don't know. I still feel like we could do better," Frederick said as his piano was pushed off to the side. "I still say we should add in some of Beethoven's earlier work. His later work is magnificent, but it doesn't compare to the wonderment his early work provided," Harpo said as his harp was also carted off. "We sounded fantastic, guys. Don't worry about it too much." Octavia chuckled at her fellow bandmates. "It was a great performance, so we've got a well-deserved night of rest." Octavia smiled as she placed her contrabass into its container. She pulled the strap over her shoulders, placing the instrument on her back. She always refused help with putting her instrument away. "Hey, you're not supposed to be back here," the band heard a security guard say loudly. They turned their heads to see who he was yelling at. "I know, but my sister is in the band and I really need to talk to her," Pinkie begged at the security guard. "We didn't hear anything about any of the band members getting a family visit today," the security guard said, grabbing Pinkie by the leg. "Hey, I'm not lying," Pinkie said, trying to get the security guard to let go. "It's okay, sir," Octavia said, walking up to the guard. "She's my sister, though she did come by rather unannounced," Octavia said, looking at Pinkie curiously, before noticing that her hair was straight, something she hadn't seen in a long time now. "Well, all right. If the band says you're okay, then you are. Just don't come in unannounced next time," the security guard huffed before walking off. "Hey, do you need some time to yourself?" Beauty asked as she walked up to Octavia. "Yeah, sorry guys. Go ahead and do your own things. I'll see you back at the hotel later." Octavia smiled. Beauty Brass understood and walked off with the rest of the band. "Sorry, sis. I probably should have given you more warning. Then again, even I didn't really know I was going to be setting off till I basically did. Still, I could have written." Pinkie chuckled. "Yeah, that would have been nice." Octavia chuckled back. "At least you didn't interrupt my performance this time." Pinkie blushed while smiling, still remembering the gala. "Come on, let's go have some dinner and we can talk." Pinkie dined on a fresh daisy salad, while Octavia enjoyed a French daffodil soup. "So, Pinkie," Octavia started as she finished taking a sip of her soup. "Why the sudden visit? I assume it has something to do with something that's bugging you?" "I can't hide anything from you, can I, sis?" Pinkie smiled as she took another bite of her salad. "Not really. Your hair doesn't go down unless you're upset about something," Octavia said as her eyes wandered down to the red ribbon in Pinkie's hair. "The ribbon is new, though." Well, the two topics are related, Pinkie said before giving a soft sigh as she smiled. I know I'm about to ask a lot from you, Octavia, what with you on tour and all, and it's been a long time since either of us brought this up. Octavia ate another spoonful of soup as she watched her sister curiously, not really sure what to expect. But I'd like the two of us to go visit Bellamina's grave. Octavia nearly dropped the spoon from her mouth. She quickly swallowed the contents in her mouth. This is rather sudden, Pinkie, Octavia said, surprised her sister would bring it up. If that's what you really want, our next concert isn't till next week in Huffington, so if we left now, we could make it to the farm with enough time for me to get back. Oh, thank you, sis, Pinkie said happily. You really are the best sister in the world. She chuckled happily. Sure. I'll do this so long as you tell me what's going on. Octavia smiled. Deal. Pinkie smiled back. The wind blew sand across the rocky field as the two sisters stood before their younger sister's grave. It was a hoof-carved rock marker, carefully crafted to look like their younger sister sitting with a smile. She sat on top of a slab that read, Here lies Bellamina Marie Pye, a beloved daughter, a wonderful sister, and an angel in filly form. That's really quite a story, Pinkie, Octavia said, looking at Pinkie, then back to her sister's grave. But it's good to hear that you've forgiven yourself for what happened. Octavia smiled. Yeah, I'm glad I did too. But I couldn't say it was official till I at least came here again. Pinkie said as she gently placed the roses she had picked up on her sister's grave. I'd forgotten about her because I didn't want to remember. And that's a terrible thing for an older sister to do. So, from now on, I promise to visit her once a year. Pinkie smiled happily. You know what? If you're going to do that, then I'll join you. Octavia smiled. I've been too focused on my work lately. I haven't given our sister the proper time of day either. Thank you, Pinkie said, nuzzling against Octavia. You're my sister. I'll always be there for you if you need me, sis. Octavia nuzzled her sister back, smiling happily. The sisters shared their happy embrace. Octavia! Pinkamena! Dinner's ready! Their mother called from the farmhouse. Coming! Octavia called out. Come on, let's go get some dinner, sis. I'll be right there. Pinkie smiled to Octavia. Octavia nodded and headed towards the farm. Hey, Bellamina, Pinkie said softly, getting closer to her sister. You were a wonderful sister. Thank you so much for being my sister. I love you. She kissed the forehead of her sister's statue. She then turned and began to walk back to the farm. Her hair poofed out and curled, returning to her usual bubbly self.